shocked. Missing just 2 days per month adds up to over 18 days a year. And that's almost an entire month out of school. Absent, meaning it is 10% or more of the school year. And in early grades, that can affect how they read, how they do math, and also just having friendships with other students. So the good news is, as parents, we can start investing to make sure we employ some healthy routines, whether it's evening routines or morning routines. They are beneficial to our students. And how many of y'all want your children to succeed in school? My baby is 30 years old, and I got like 15 grandchildren. My baby sure when they come to my house, they call me T-Marvin. I ain't grandma yet, they call me T-Marvin. They come to my house, they go to bed at a certain time, they eat at a certain time, they wake up at a certain time, they do their homework at a certain time. It's a straight routine. I think that's that Army drill sergeant coming out again. But two, even as a drill sergeant, it's an effectiveness when we have our soldiers or even our children do things in order, because that consistency makes them even more effective. Because it's like, Mommy, Mommy, let me do this, Daddy, you always have me do this. But if we got them moving in a straight line, effective, too easy, right? Yeah. So I want y'all to make sure y'all enjoy this expo today. When y'all go on the other side, we have a table out here, and we have more information about healthy routines, sleep habits, morning routine, just some suggestions. We know you've been smiling all day since we started. No. I actually got one more on the way. I think that one is due like in September, okay? But I love kids. I love to see them start to have this little blood. And again, as parents, as community, we get to invest in our children. That's what wellness is all about. I don't know a lot about PowerPoint, but I'm so happy that the principal opened the doors so we can come here, because we based out of Greensboro, right off the window of the avenue. But we're able to come to this community and help this community grow. Because we love to see it thrive. And again, to see parents out here, caregivers, grandparents, uncles, aunts, investing into these little minds is amazing to me. It's phenomenal, especially this early in the morning, because a lot of us still want to sleep. Right? So can you share what either morning routine or evening routine looks like in your home? They read that good. So we're going to hear a voice from one of the children. How old is your baby? 14. Is Gabby strict like a drill sergeant? Is that routine strict like a drill sergeant? No? It's okay? You like the structure? Or you want to go all willy-nilly and do it any kind of way? All right, so he likes that structure and routine. Now, that's not average for a teenager. Normally, they have their own ways, what they want to do, what they want to do, what they want to do, how they want to do it, right? But when we started at a young age to get them in that habit of being consistent and also investing in themselves and time and let them understand the importance of that routine, it helps in the long run, okay? So we're going to have Ms. Sharita Carr, and she's going to share about social emotional learning. And thanks again for y'all coming out this morning.
Yes, no. I want you all to take a minute, and I want you all to think of a child that ignored or a child that you know that may have a hard time expressing always saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, and haven't done anything wrong. Okay, you know of a child like that? Oh, your child? Okay. You raise your hand also? Okay. Don't pull the child in there. Which one do they have? Okay. Are they saying, I'm sorry? Yeah. Okay. He's sorry for his opinion. Also, I want you to think of a child that has a hard time making friends. Anyone know a child that has a hard time making friends? So today we're going to talk about social emotional learning. Does anyone know what social emotional learning is? Have you all heard of that word before, social emotional learning? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the 5 core things that connect to social emotional learning. The first thing I'm going to talk about is self-awareness. When I say self-awareness, I'm going to tell you what that means. Self-awareness. Being aware of your surroundings. Anyone else? Being aware of yourself. So when it comes to self-awareness, we want our children to be able to express their emotions. If they're sad, if they're angry, if they're frustrated, we want them to express their emotions. And also, we want them to tell us where they feel their emotions at. When I'm upset, I'm feeling it in my shoulders. So as parents, what we want to do is we want to practice using feeling words so our children can hear us use feeling words so they can start using feeling words to express their feelings. The next thing I'm going to talk about is self-management. When you think of self-management, what comes to mind? Manage yourself. Oh my God! That is awesome! Tell me what self-management is. What? When you manage yourself. So basically what we find is a lot of kids and adults, we are things that happen all the time. Bad things and good things. And what we want our children to do is, when things happen, we want them to be able to move through it. Because sometimes when things happen that we don't like what happened, we just stay stuck in it. But what we want to do with our children is that when they have difficult situations, we want them to express the emotions that they're feeling, but also we want them to have a coping strategy to move through that situation. What is a coping strategy that you can use whenever you feel frustrated? Self-awareness. So when we think of social awareness, what comes to mind? also when they recognize that when their kids or when their parents are having a hard time, they can feel the emotions that their parents are dealing with. For example, if they're here home, we want a kid to say, "Oh, I am so sorry you failed. May I help you fail?" Not laugh at them here, but help them get up. And that is when they're showing empathy and they are showing that they care. So that is social awareness and that's relationship skills connected together. The last one is possible to share. When we think of the topic, you may not have the need for touching the people. So you're not making it or you give them the honor. So what I did was I discussed a 5 or classes
Here you go.
Oh, so sorry.
And you can try to keep your voices down, because the mic doesn't work that great. That would be helpful. Thank you.
But like the person said, when we think about being with all the things we have to do in our business, sometimes a few adjustments within our responsibilities not only help us as adults and them, but it can also help our children to learn responsibility. Okay? So, one of the things that happened to me, I am also a counselor and I work with kids. And I have a fifth grader that I've been working with for about 3 months now, okay? And the fifth grader came to me because in school, she was having a harder time with being nice to her classmates. It was really hard for her to come to school prepared, even though mom and dad constantly reminded her, put stuff in your backpack, put stuff in your backpack. Here's your pencil. Here's your pencil. And even if the teacher had instructed her to wait her turn, it was still really hard for her. So they said, hey, maybe we can talk to somebody. That's where I came. And I began talking to her, figuring out some things that were helpful, or maybe weren't helpful. It's like a lot of games. get the routine, you're getting kids with that. It's just really stressful. He's not hanging out with his friends as much anymore, and all he really wants to do is sleep. And I'm like, I can relate. I can definitely relate. But after a long day, I'm long to sleep. But you're getting that you also have kids that you have to get in a way that they can go to school. So then I asked Dad, all right, tell me a little bit about how you grew up. Because sometimes looking at how we have done things in the past can help us figuring out where we can perfect some of the things that we're doing right now, or make things a little easier. Okay. Dad was like, all right, well, I grew up with my mom and my grandmother. Most of the time I was with my grandmother. My mom was. Okay. Grandmother had a lot of rules in her house. I knew she cared about me. I knew she loved me. And I always got what I needed. Mom was there. And I didn't really interact with Mom until later on when I was in high school. When I could really take care of myself. Grandma helped raise me. Okay. I can relate to that. But then he remembered one time at school, and the teacher called Mom and Grandma because of some things he was doing at school. Have y'all ever had that phone call from the teacher? Have y'all known anyone who had that phone call from the teacher about some of the behaviors at school? It happens. It's okay. Okay. So, Mom and Grandma, this is what the teacher said. And he said their faces doesn't anything. So as soon as they got back to the car, he just remembered Mom and Grandmother yelling at her. Pointing the finger that it's because that you don't understand anymore, that when you don't go there and night, and it just works. And he remembered that he was so good. So Mom remembers Mom walking along at Grandma's house, and the night she came back and she told us, like, stay back. And then the next day, Mom and Grandmother had to talk about the situation. When they just ate breakfast, and he was and he remembered just feeling so unhappy. And I asked him, how does he think that really represents how he feels? So, he said, looking back, we didn't really talk about emotions in our house. When someone was angry with one another, they stomped off. I would spend time with them. We didn't talk about it. Just assume that it was going to go away. And that was normal. Now, as I get older, I recognize that he's pulling out his knife. And he's also pulling out his knife. After a long day of work, I don't really want to talk. And he kind of recognized that. So I'm like, okay. Clarity. What do you think? How many of you guys are actually come home and it's not funny? Raise your hand. After you come home from work or from school, how are you feeling? No energy. No energy at all. Anybody else? How do you feel when you come home? Distress. Distress. Yes. 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 So you have to take care of yourself. You have to attend to your kids. And you also have to attend to your partner. him as a dad recognized that he was doing that, and his daughter was doing that in class. So, what we did with Alex and dad, we talked to him about, okay, so how do we work on helping you to like have a little more control with your routine, your daily responsibilities, and you're also able to help your children to express what they're going through. So, we work on helping Alex talk about some emotions, especially when he got upset. Whether he didn't realize because they were angry, if he was anger, and really how to emotional control. And then he was able to learn how to teach his daughter to do it. So, long story short, a lot of the things that we had talked about today as far as routines and responsibilities, not only helps us as adults, it also helps our kids. It also helps the environment that's there. It also helps us to learn more effectively. Remember, that is your job as kids. You want to help them be the best employees, workers, friends, kids that they can be. But we have to start sometimes with looking at ourselves and figuring out how we can do things a little differently. Just because the dad didn't really see that when we were growing up doesn't mean that he's broken. It just means that he's learning to think a little differently to help his generation, his next generation. Okay, he has three. So, as you go through these tables, as you look at the different organizations, definitely take into account and ask questions about how your ability to talk about things, communicate with your kids, because your kids are your future. All right, guys? All right.
Jebak, jebak.